Welcome back to Straight Facts. It's Tuesday. I'm joined by LB, Andy Gow. Lots to talk through as Arsenal complete a big deal this January. Mateta may be on his way to Aston Villa. Chelsea are closing in on another fledgling, 60 million for a 20-year-old. Cannot wait to get LB's take on that. And could Man United be about to sign Ruben Loftus-Cheek from AC Milan on loan? He has been offered to the club this January. We're looking ahead of the Champions League games for Arsenal and for Man City tonight. Plus, we're going to, of course, have a little stop down memory lane from the weekend with Man City getting beaten by Manchester United.
No, we can go that way. We can do that.
we can do it. So loads to go through, loads to talk about today. Viewers, make sure you've hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Get this stream shared across your social media platforms as well. But gentlemen, how are we both?
I'm good. I'm chilling. Somehow, some way, my team dropped points, but it didn't even bother. We extended the lead. I mean,
did. How was the weekend for you, LB? Because I remember your words last week. Sort of, I asked you this. That was Wednesday. You were on last week, but you came on, said, "How do you think it's going to go, Manchester Derby?" And your words were to the effect of, "Should be beating them. No excuses." I think you may have even sort of said batter them or like smash them or beat them easy. Words to that effect, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people agreed with you. It wasn't a crazy take, but it went the other way. It was a little bit of a demolition. I did watch some of your watch along, and the fact you were laughing after we scored off your free kick was the highlight of the watch alongs for me this weekend, because it's just, you don't really lose your mind so much. It's more just, might as well laugh at this rather than get angry. But what did you make of the weekend and the Derby Day defeat?
I mean, yeah, it was a complete opposite of what I expected, and I think what most people expected, to be honest with you. Complete domination of the game. We had one shot, which was saved / blocked by Dallo Lamens. And that was about it. We were a shambles. One of the worst performances most City fans have seen under Pep Guardiola. And you got to say it was unacceptable, really, because to play like that in a derby, it was crazy. So, yeah, very disappointed. And obviously, fucking another game where we drop points and Arsenal don't kill us off. And then you think to yourself,
don't make this about us.
Brother, can I speak?
Go ahead.
Yeah?
What you said backstage is right, LB. You see that there. You see that.
See that there? Whoa. Oh, bro. Relax. Yeah?
Hey.
You are top of the league, no?
Yeah.
Right, so I might have to drop Arsenal's name in the conversation, yeah? You understand that, innit? I know you've not won a league for 20-odd years, but you understand how this procedure works, yeah?
Okay, I see what you're doing. Continue.
Okay, thank you, bro. So, yeah, really disappointing that we dropped points, and then the day after, or later on in that afternoon, Arsenal dropped points as well. So we could have closed the gap, and in the end, they've dropped points themselves, and they've extended the lead, like Igal said at the start of the shoot. So it's really annoying, man, because we've now not won a game in the last 4 Premier League games, and we've not even played anyone that great. We played Sunderland away. We should have won that. Missed too many chances. We played Brighton at home. We missed so many chances. Chelsea, poor. United, poor. Well, I know Igal will sit here, and he rightly so will say he could have been 11 points clear. City could have equally been top of the league as well had we just won the games ourselves. So really frustrating, man. And we got problems. We got serious problems at the moment. No wins in the last 4. 1 open play goal in the last 4. Everyone's talking about our defence. We're not scoring goals. Well, we're not scoring goals. We scored 1 open play goal in the last 4. So we got serious problems, man. The team's looking knackered. Pep's probably not rotated the side enough over the last month or 2. And disappointing, man. Really fucking disappointed, bro. That performance, man. Like I say, it's one of the worst performances I've seen under Pep, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, look, I can't lie. It wasn't great. I think a lot of credit does go to what Carrick and Steve Holland did on the day. I think they got their approach right. It was really, I love listening to Monday Night Football yesterday, because I feel like for the first time in weeks, agendas were dropped and they actually broke the game down very well tactically. And they did some really interesting things in terms of pressing Aline when he was on the ball, ensuring that we were sitting between your lines. We defended well. There was great intensity. So I really liked what we did. At the same time, I did still expect more from City players. I expected more from Foden, more from Jacquet when he came on. I thought Semenyo did very little in the game. Doku was probably a most dangerous player. And barring the time he got a foul from Delo, which, look, I said it already, very much should have been a red card. United got lucky in that element there. There's no doubt about it. But outside of that, nothing. The bit that impressed me, well, not winning was the most important bit, of course, but it's the fact that we nullified you to 0 big chances. And I don't remember, we've beaten you 10 times since Pep's been your manager, but I don't remember a single game where we've beaten you and we didn't concede an opportunity, a real opportunity in a game. And that was the bit that most impressed me. But the question I wanted to ask, and I want to ask Igal this first, do you think Man United have ended City's title hopes after that defeat?
I think what you did was one step forward towards killing their resolve. Because if we went and won our game, I think you could already see by their fans and how they're reacting. They're one step away. They're one defeat away from basically all their fans basically saying, you know what, right off the league, let's just go for the Champions League. Because I'm seeing them lose all confidence after that performance. Defensively, they were shocking. Offensively, they couldn't do nothing. And you know what? We were making jokes about Haaland FC, but we were right. We're right. 20 goals in the league for Erling Haaland. The rest of your team is not stepping up enough. I think after your fourth goal, after you look at your fourth top goal scorer, the rest of them only have 2s and 1s. And Doku, who you said is one of your best players this season, compare him to other attackers across the league, people will be criticizing him for his lack of goals also. I'm not going to even get on to Phil Foden and other players. If Doku is supposed to be one of your best attackers, how does he have 1 goal contribution all season? I'm not even going to speak about...
one Premier League goal. Does that have 1 Premier League goal?
Yeah, 1 Premier League goal. That's what I'm talking about. And then you have Erling Haaland on 20. I think people need to actually look at it and say to themselves, City are on 45 goals, but Erling Haaland's pulling majority of the weight. And if outside of him, if they don't get a goal from him, where are the goals coming from? All these chance creators that you have, they're not doing enough for you. And on the other side, Manchester United, a breath of fresh air. Somebody new comes in. That's what a new manager bounce does for you. Immediately changes some things around, gets the players going again. Bruno looks invigorated. Casemiro looked amazing. Kobe Mainoo back into the team doing what he does best. Manchester United, some of those players had a lot of stick going into the game. Lisandro Martinez, exactly. They made a lot of fun. Nicky Butts and these guys were making fun of him before the game. He heard that and said, you know what, I'm going to make a statement. And he went and dealt with you guys. And I think these Manchester City players were coming into this game a little bit confident, even though they were performing performing quite poor this season. If you guys don't know, Wolves have a better start to 2026 than Manchester City, and you play Wolves next. There's no guarantee you're going to beat Wolves.
Oh no, they will at home. They will at home. There is
no guarantee they're going to beat Wolves. I don't currently think this Manchester City team, Doku, Semenyo and Guehi are going to save you guys, because they were speaking about City as in City just need to win a couple games, they'll catch you. It's not about catching me. It's about getting yourselves going. Defensively, you're poor. Everyone's cutting through you lately. And offensively, you're poor. Your midfield is supposed to be your biggest strength. And to me, I feel like Pep is setting up Rodri for failure because he has nobody else around him that can help out defensively. But yeah.
In defense of City, you are right in your statement, Igal. There's no guarantees they win the game, but it's highly likely. Highly likely.
I actually agree with that.
No, Wolves gave us the hardest game at the Emirates this season.
Until this weekend when we come, bruv.
We'll see.
Okay. How is that? With all due respects, yeah. How can you say that was the hardest game at home when it took you to the 93rd minute to equalise against us?
Because Wolves were bottom of the table. We came into that game highly confident. Your game, we knew it was going to be a tough game. We knew we were going to expect.
But that's not what you just said. You just said it was the hardest game of the season. So how is it the hardest game of the season when it took you to the 93rd minute to equalise? You didn't even beat us.
It took us to the 94th minute to beat bottom of the table Wolves. That was the,
but you won.
To me, it's my opinion, bro. It's my team. You can't decide what my opinion is on my team.
Okay,
at the end of the day, you can feel whatever you want to feel. You came to our ground, you got a point, you were leading. At that point, we glad with the point. At the end of the day, we had to win that game versus Wolves. It took the last minute of the game, an own goal to win it, and we scored 2 own goals to win that game. It was very difficult to win that game. I'm not disrespecting Wolves. I'm not disrespecting anybody in this league. I think right now, Manchester City going into that home game versus Wolves, they're going to be looking at themselves saying this is a great opportunity to get ourselves back in winning ways. But Wolves have something for you guys. I think every team in the league right now looks at Manchester City and they say, stop Erling Haaland. You can neutralize them.
No, I actually agree with a lot with what you're saying, bro, to be honest with you. Like, that is true. And I've spoke about this many, many times. Doku has been one of our best players this season. He can't score me a goal for shit. He scored 7 or 8 Premier League goals. He's been here 3 years. I've spoke about this topic time and time and time again, that we don't have goal scorers in the team outside of Haaland. Now, Reinders has started to pick up a few goals, but he didn't start the game at the weekend. I think he's got 4 in his last 6 Premier League matches for City. So he's starting to find the back of the net. That's really good, because that's one of the reasons we bought him. He got 15 goals for AC Milan in the league last year, but he didn't start the game against United. You've got Doku, who doesn't score goals. That's just a fact. So he's not going to get me a goal. Semenyo is going to get me a goal. He does score goals, but he was poor against United. Cherky gets me goals, but he started on the bench. And Foden's playing deeper, so he's not been scoring goals. You know, he's scoring goals a couple of 2 months ago when he was playing a bit further up. But now I feel like he's dropped down a little bit. He's not been scoring me goals. So we do have a problem in the team. And I've spoke about this time and time again, that we have to, it is basically Haaland or bust. This is why, for me, yeah, and I need to start talking about this on my channel. I might do a stream on it maybe tomorrow, is I think we've got to find a way of getting, I don't know how you do it, but you've got to find a way, for me, of getting Cherky, Foden and Reinders all in the team with Semenyo. It might mean you got to drop Doku, but that's kind of mad because he's been one of our best players this year. But if Igali's right, if you do stop Haaland, there's not enough players in that team that can score me goals. So that is a problem that we've got to try and address. The problem that I think Pep is very confused about what the best system is, what the best team is, what the best 11 is. We was playing a bit more counter-attacking football a couple of months ago, if you remember how we played at Arsenal. Not pretty football, but it was pretty effective. And actually, it got the best out of Erling Haaland. That's probably the best we've ever seen, Erling Haaland. And then all of a sudden, we've gone back to more possession-based football and stuff like that. So
that versus everybody.
No, I agree, but I've not really seen counter-attacking football for about 6 weeks now. That's not the point that I'm making.
Yeah.
I've not seen, and we seem to have just reverted back. I'm not saying do that against everyone, bro, like against Wolves, but I'm saying we're doing it against, we've just changed and gone back to this possession-based football, which we don't have enough techie ballers that can unlock defenses. Do you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I think Pep has got a bit of a tricky job on his hands to try and find the starting 11, because otherwise, you know what I mean? We're going to find ourselves in a top 4
Hey,
race.
LB, this is one thing I'm going to say. I was called crazy. I was called irrational thinking, or just people making jokes about me 24/7 about saying the gap between City and Arsenal's defense is way wider than the gap between Arsenal and City's attack. Now, do you see what I'm talking about when I say that? Because last week I had Staffy on here vouching for you guys, saying your attack is so superior. They have Erling Haaland on this many goals. Foden would still be your second top goal scorer. When you really think about it, Arsenal are on 40 goals, and not one of our goal scorers are in the top 20 in the Premier League. That just goes to show you we have so many different ways to score goals.
Yeah, but you're a completely different team to us in that sense, because obviously you do spread your goals out. Like you say, you don't have a single player in the top 20 Premier League goal scorers. We've got the guy at the top, so we're a completely different side, but we're built to be that way. When you have Erling Haaland as your striker, you build your team around him. But I think we've got too many players in our attack that can't find Erling, that don't have the ability to find him in the box.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting watching City play, and I do put a big part of this on Pep, and some of it is on the recruitment, because when you went to a more transition-based team, you started picking up more victories, you were closing that gap on Arsenal. Then you've gone back to more possession-based football, and the issue that you've got, as you've said, you don't have the KDBs and the like who can create for Haaland as regularly. So therefore, when they are crossing the ball or trying the through balls, they're being intercepted, and then you're so susceptible to the counter-attack. And with 2 or 3 injured defenders and no more Walker, and I was speaking about this the other day, Walker used to stop so many of the counter-attacks because he'd get back, because he was there and he was so quick. You add that in and you're so vulnerable. And you beat Exeter 10-1, and I had the game on, and it was quite funny to watch in a weird way. But I still remember Exeter getting 4 or 5 counterattacks against you where they went almost clean through on goal. And I'm thinking, well, if they can do it, anybody can do it. They just didn't have the quality to hurt you. There was another game you played recently,
Palace.
and I want to say it was Brighton, where Brighton probably should have been 2-0 up in the first 5 minutes of the game at the Etihad. And that for me is sort of system based. And where I agree with you 100%, LB, and I don't think the title race is over yet. But if the performances and therefore the results in the Premier League in the next 3 or 4 game weeks don't improve, it probably is going to be over, because Arsenal, even though they were poor in the last 2 games, they were still able to like enhance their lead at the top. And I just don't think Liverpool will continue to, I just don't think Arsenal will continue to not win games. I think they'll go back to winning ways soon. If you start getting to like 25, 26 games into the season and you're 10 plus points behind, it becomes, I think as it currently stands, if City don't increase their points per games between now and the end of the season, Arsenal only need 9 more wins out of the remaining. That's if City don't increase their win rate. So if City's win rate doesn't increase, it's 9 more games. If City remain at this level,
of course, we've got to fix up real quick, man. Obviously, and we need to fix up real quick, because after Wolves, we've got Spurs away, Liverpool away. And to be honest with you, we're probably going to need to win both of those games. Now, luckily, they're both not very good, but nor are we right now. So I need a big performance tonight. I need a rebound. I want to see the players give 100% effort. Then I need a win against Wolves, but I also need a good performance, man. I'm a firm believer of performances dictate long-term results. I think if you're winning but not playing well, that is not going to last forever. And we haven't been playing well. And lo and behold, we've not won our last 4 games. It happened last season. Yeah, I remember 3 games into that run that we went on, I remember saying on my channel, we're in the shit. We're not playing well. I got a lot of crap off City fans, didn't want to hear it. You know what I mean? You're being reactionary, clickbait. Lo and behold, we won 1 game in the next 10. So if you don't play well, the results will catch up to you. And so we've listen, it's a bad time at the moment in the league, for City. But at the same time, this is not a disaster. It's still salvageable. We're 7 points off Arsenal. We've still got to play them at home, right? If we're going to win if we're going to win the league, we have to beat them at home anyway. That's a fact. Yeah, you can't be fucking not beating Arsenal at home if you want to go and win the league. So that pulls it down to what? 4 points. So effectively, you're looking for a 4-point, gap to be overturned in the remaining games. That is more than doable. But if we don't get going immediately, it's going to be not going to be 7 points. It'll be 10 points. And then all of a sudden you're like, nah, it's dusted out.
LB, it's fine. Even if it's 10 points, we're bottlers, right? Don't worry about it.
Well, historically you have been bottle jobs. Yeah, that is true.
That's what people are going to say, right? No, my point is they're going to.
I want to throw this question. Hang on, again. I want to throw a viewer point here. Let's just interact with the viewers here. This says if we win the league, it's not because we are amazing. It's because the league is shit, and it will be in spite of the manager. This is an Arsenal fan stating this, that even if you win it from this point, it's not really about Arsenal being good. There's a lot of this narrative going around at the minute. ESPN have said similar. I'm sure Sky Sports are going to come up with it soon. Do you feel a little bit like, Igal, that no matter what Arsenal do now, it's going to be framed as a bad season? Liverpool fell off. City are getting beat by Man United. There's problems. And it's not really, it's a bit of a hollow victory for Arsenal.
Nobody wants to look at themselves as if they're the problem. They just want to look at somebody else as if they're the problem. So they want to paint the picture that the league is bad, hence why Arsenal's winning, rather than, oh, maybe they're bad. Maybe Liverpool are underperforming. Maybe City are not as good as people thought. Maybe Chelsea are not as good as people thought. Maybe some of the other teams in the league have actually caught up to the top 6 and are making the whole league more competitive. It's not that the league is bad. The league is actually more competitive than it's ever been. It's just there's not maybe the super teams like City were getting 100 points or Liverpool were getting 99 points. Arsenal could probably win the league with 91 points, maybe 89 points. The points tallies over the last couple of years was ridiculous. So I don't think the league is poor. I think they're just going to say this every year. Every year, people are going to downplay what they're seeing because they have nostalgia over the past. And in the moment, you can't appreciate something until the season's over. If Arsenal go and win a treble, or we do a double, or if we win the league and we blow out everyone come the end of the season, I bet you they're not going to be saying this. It's just we're in the moment, 22 games in. People are going to start talking shit. It's just how it is.
I think that the league is poor. I think the quality at the top is poor. However, that doesn't take anything away from Arsenal if they win the league. If they win the league, they're the best team in the league.
What's Was the quality poor when you had 100 points?
Maybe. We probably won a league when it's poor. Don't take anything away from it. Do you think it's got a caveat next to it saying league was poor? No one cares. If you win the league, you win the league.
Let's break this down. Was the quality of the league poor when Manchester United were winning in the 90s with 70 points?
There probably was a few. There was probably they won 13 titles under Fergie, didn't they? There probably was at least one. There probably was at least one season, but Terry doesn't care.
No, because I think eras change, and I think people are looking at nostalgia, looking at points totals, looking at things. Guess what, guys? Nothing matters except having the most points at the end of the season.
Correct.
You don't have to play fancy football. You don't have to have the most goals. You don't have to have the best defense. You just have to have the most points at the end of the season. And all these standards that you guys are trying to apply to the league title winner does not apply, because we've had the best defense, we haven't won the league. We've actually had the best attack before in the Premier League, we haven't won the league. We played the best football in the league, we haven't won the league. If we win the league doing this, you guys can't criticize anything. You're at that point,
absolutely spot
on. At that point, you look crazy.
It's one of these things for me. People look at the 99 treble winning team and they do the whole, but they only had like I think we had like high 60s or low 70 points to win it. But again, it depends on whether you want to be factual or if you want to score points against somebody you dislike. So if you dislike Man United, you'll say low quality, whilst ignoring how strong Spain and Italy were, for instance, on a European front. They were far ahead of the English teams then. So the team that went on to win Europe obviously couldn't have been a bad team in an era where the English teams weren't the strongest. There's also the element of money, where there was at least 3 leagues, if not 4, that had more money than the English leagues did in the 90s. There was only 3 substitutions allowed and 5 players on the bench, and the squads were smaller. So therefore, getting to 100 points is a lot easier in 2026 than it was in 1999. But that takes away from neither champion. And I think that the media has done this by talking about points totals. Equally, we saw just last season, Liverpool won the league, and for the last 5-6 matches, they couldn't give a fuck about winning any more games. They didn't care about points totals. Equally, I'm not taking anything away from the Centurions. I've said it 100 times and I'll say it again. That Centurions team would have challenged for a league title in every single year that the Premier League has existed. Equally, I think this Arsenal team, if you put it in 95, you put it in 99, you put it in 2005, you put it up against the Invincibles, it challenges for a league title. I think the teams that typically win the league are pretty good when you compare them across the board. There's a few, maybe 2013 Man United team, very good team, but you saw in Europe that year, weren't one of the best in Europe. So there's a few there. I think that Leicester's title winning league team, as brilliant as the achievement was, I don't look at that as like one of the great teams of England, if that makes sense. And I'm sure we could go back. I mean, Blackburn's team, they weren't a great team. Look what happened to them in Europe the next year, never retained the title, relegated a few years later. There are examples where teams weren't what I'd call great sides. With Arsenal, I just think Arsenal fans...
It also doesn't matter though, does it? Sorry, if they win the league...
Yeah, exactly.
Arsenal fans shouldn't care about that.
It's a bit like this. Imagine saying to a boxer, this is what my analogy. Imagine saying to a boxer, yes, you've just become world champion, but it's meaningless because you're not as good as Muhammad Ali. It's stupid. It's not how sport. It's not how sport. Imagine saying to every 100-meter sprinter that wins a gold now, you didn't break Usain Bolt's record, therefore the gold doesn't count. It's bullshit. It's only being done by Arteta outers because they don't want to have to admit they're wrong. That's it, because they are a little bit. And this guy's an Arteta outer.
Where's Aaron, man? We need one on here to talk because they
I don't know where Aaron is. He said he's running. He said he's running late. To be fair,
I'd bet you any money if we lost, he would be here early.
Let's do some of these super chats here. This says, "Hey, I remember the City fan on the panel. Sorry, forgot his name. Told United that versus City would smash us. Hold my beer." Oh, that might be Lewis. That might have been Lewis. It could have been any of them, to be fair, but I think it was Lewis who said that. City flooding the league with cash. Gahey deal dollar, yet trying to say the league is worse. Disagree. The bottom has caught up and are throwing cash doesn't have the same impact. Have an actual build have to actually build a foundation. Sorry, I'm just trying to read that. It's very difficult.
Let me break it down. If you're buying Semenyo from Bournemouth and you're buying Gahey from Palace, how can you, as a City fan, say the league is poor when you're buying two of the best players outside of the top six?
Probably because the standard of footballer available now on the market is not what it was 10, 15 years ago.
Or maybe some of these teams lower down the table have quality players that walk into your team.
Yeah. But because there's not the abundance of players that there was 15 years ago, bro. That's undisputable.
No, I don't think that's the case. I just think scouts don't have the time to go and take gambles in January.
Don't have the time. No, bro. There is not the quality. Are you trying to tell me that the same level of player quality-wise now that there was 15 years ago?
I think the players now are much better. If you take the players right now and you just put them in 15 years ago with the level of training and progression.
You can't do that. You can't do that. So wait, again, I'm not disagreeing with your point, but you can't do that because you're removing a variable. Because if you take the players from 15 years ago and give them today's training and nutrients, they'd arguably be even better, right?
I agree. But my point is, football has gone up. I don't think we can sit here and say football was better 15 years ago and everybody's worse now. I just think it's different. It's not necessarily worse. I think it's different. And I think the players, they play faster. The game is faster. Everything is done at a different pace to what it was done 15 years ago, which makes it harder to judge players within eras. I think right now we might not be seeing the most attractive style of football, but I do think we're seeing the best of what we can get.
You think the players now, on average, are better or worse than they were 15 years ago?
I think right now they're more effective, they're more efficient, they're more set up to be efficient rather than skillful.
So they're not as good as they were 15 years ago.
I think they're better. I think they're better. I think they're better at doing certain things. Like, I'm not saying they're more skillful. I'm not saying they're more better at getting.
They're just not as good players. They're just not as good players as they were 15 years ago.
No, I think they're more efficient. They've been built as players. They've been built as players to no longer care about creativity and just flair. It's more about be efficient, do this. It's almost like a militant way of thinking, where you're now built as a player from the ground up to be more of a more efficient goal scorer, a more efficient defender, a more efficient winger, rather than a footballer that can play all over the place and do everything. You know what I mean?
I disagree.
Sorry, I'm just going to agree. I'm just going to agree that football was better and therefore harder 15 years ago because it means Sir Alex Ferguson's achievements are better than Pep's. I'm going to agree with LB on this one.
I mean, to be fair, Pep did win. He's won 2 Champions
League. You guys call football robotic?
Premier League achievements. No, listen, on a real, I've had a lot of talk about it this week with Pep, and people going, I've been exposed. I'm listening, like, man, I've been exposed. The man's one of the greatest managers of all time. I'm never, ever gonna change my mind on that. What he's experiencing for the first time is his great team has died off for organic reasons, and he's trying to get a team to be great again. It's fucking hard doing it in the same place, and Pep himself knows that. That's the biggest compliment he ever paid Sir Alex, was he has no idea, one, how he did it, and two, kept himself motivated to build a great team. The team falls away and then rebuild another one. It's hard to do. And that's why I won't slag him off for it. Because at the end of the day, it's not like they've fallen off like Man United and come 15th. Fallen off like Chelsea and gone a decade without challenging for a Premier League.
Well, people are making City are in crisis videos when we just won 2-0 in the first leg semi-final and we're second, 7 points off.
LB, you might not be in crisis, but understand you are judged on a different level because people have such a belief that you are going to get over whatever hurdle you have.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that. I agree.
Arsenal, yeah. I've had to accept that we're judged on a different level. We drew, you lost, you have worse 5 games in the last 5 games than us, but yet people are acting like our draw is more of a disgrace than your humiliation versus Manchester United.
Well, it's because we're judged differently in this league, Egal. Everyone else is rubbish, so we do
even if you lost 3 games in a row, you'd still believe you can catch up because you've done it in the past.
Yeah, I suppose so.
So
what we're saying is we're the best 2 teams in this league and everyone else is trash. That's basically
I think Arsenal is the best team in the league and you're in the category with the rest.
Ooh, okay.
Simple.
Better go with that league.
The one thing I do think is going to be interesting is one thing I do feel around. Do I think there's as many footballers around now of the Aguero, Rooney, Drogba level? No, I think there are some brilliant players around now. I think they're like sort of looking at the striker market today, and we're going to go into transfers in a minute, ladies and gentlemen. We might be seeing Mateta move to Aston Villa. And I look at it and go, yeah, good striker. And then I start thinking, how many strikers are genuinely better than Mateta right now? You've obviously got Haaland, and you've got Kane, and probably Lewandowski. Julian Alvarez is there. And then you start going, genuinely, it's like, who else? Who else do you look at and go, like Victor Osimhen could go into that category? But I just think there was a bigger depth. So I still think there are players now that would compete with all the players from the past, but it doesn't seem to be the same.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I'm not saying they're all trash.
Yeah.
But I'm saying
I agree.
If you go back 15 years ago, look at the striker market compared to the striker market today. It's absolutely incredible.
No, but one thing I will say is, though, if you take Van Dijk and you put him in any era, he'll be the best.
Yeah, no, but wait a sec.
I wouldn't say that.
Wait a sec. I've just agreed with Terry that I'm not saying every single player is trash, but I'm saying the talent pool of elite level players at the top level, is not there as it was 15 years ago. Look at the striker market today, Gal. Yeah, it absolutely reeks. Look at it 15 years ago. Suarez, Benzema, Aguero, Kane Prime, Lewandowski. Van Persie was still knocking about. Cavani wasn't even a top 10 striker in world football back 15 years ago. If he was regen today, some people would probably have him as the best striker in the world.
Yeah, I just think we're
I'll give you an example. No, I hear you. I look at it this way. If you take peak Jermaine Defoe and you transport him to now, I think he'd be in world class. Yeah, he'd be in world class conversations.
But defenses were worse, and teams were conceding more.
When
around that time, don't you think defenses were conceding more?
No. I mean, if you actually hang on. If you look back, Chelsea's record was done 20 years ago, where they only conceded 14 goals in the league. Man United still hold the record for the most consecutive clean sheets ever in top flight English football. I think no one's anywhere near it. I'll wait for him to come back before I'll tell him about him being there because he'll get defensive.
Well, 15 years ago, you had Big Sam, Tony Pulis. You had all the Brexit merchants managing football teams playing mad defensive football. Who's done it wrong? What's he on about?
Well, I saw a stat that came out yesterday, and it was really good stat for Saliba and Gabriel. And it was basically showing the amount of games they've had clean sheets when they've started together. But above them was Rio and Vidic. And it's just that I can't find it now. I don't think I saved it, but the numbers were absolutely amazing. It was like 85 clean sheets in 120 games. So if Rio and Vidic, and that was in their pomp between kind of 2007 and 2013. So I don't necessarily think that. What I do think has happened that does make the league tougher in a different way is the smaller teams have more money. So they're not forced into selling their players as easily. For instance, Elliot Anderson would have been gone this January if Wolves didn't have the massive money that comes with being in the Premier League now. They would never have kept him. Gibbs White would have absolutely been gone because they wouldn't have had the money to renew his contract and pay him what he wants. So I do think what's happened, Mbeumo would never have lasted 3 or 4 years at Brentford. It would have been 6 months to 12 months. If we go back to the era where there was no spending limits either, Chelsea and City would have bought those players within 6 months just to because Chelsea and City used to sort of do what Microsoft do. They see a little upstart, a little competitor that might damage a bit of their business. They just buy it, even if they're not playing in their first team.
Here's a question for you, though, right? Would Mbeumo have even got in any United team 15, 20 years ago?
If I go back, see that again for me, Mbeumo, if I go look at our last title winning team, so he wouldn't have got into the team that last won the Champions League because he's not starting over Rooney or Cristiano Ronaldo in our 4-3-3. He could have been in our squad. Would he have started? Is he better than Antonio Valencia when he was a winger? Yes. So I would say he could have played in that team.
Valencia was a very good player, to be honest with you.
Valencia was good. The one that again, I would look at Valencia. I put him in the good to very good category. Nowhere near clinical enough as an example. But where I would defend Valencia maybe slightly is if I could go back now and then what you know now, I'd have just played Valencia at right back the whole time and have Mbeumo ahead of him because I actually think Valencia, if he was playing in today's game, would be a wing back. I don't think he'd be a modern day inside forward. Does that make sense? Because Valencia came into the game at that time where traditional wingers, and this is where youngsters fuck me off in football. They look at the numbers a Mane or a Salah scores, and they go, Perez and Beckham weren't doing that because they weren't the same player.
Crosses,
completely different type of football players in terms of positionally. The old-fashioned wingers from the 90s are more akin to your Trent Alexander-Arnolds in the last 5 to 10 years than they are the new inside forwards. But I think Mbeumo could play for some of our teams. I look at the Man United squad now, and honestly, Mbeumo, Bruno would be in and around those, no doubt. He's just too good creatively. What he wouldn't have done, though, under Fergie for 2.5 years wouldn't have played him out of position.
The thing is with Bruno, he might have some talent, but you think Fergie would have fucking stood for his antics on the pitch? No chance.
If he's delivering, he would have done. Absolutely.
No, I don't think so.
I'll give you an example.
I think the way Bruno carries himself, I don't think.
I think nostalgia kills us because we don't appreciate what we have in front of us, and we constantly talk about previous eras and previous players. Bruno Fernandes, I think, gets into most teams across multiple generations because of how good he is at creating and scoring goals. Same way how Erling Haaland would get into most teams across all generations. The top level players, regardless what era, are still going to get into most eras because they're top level players.
I agree.
Now, if we're talking about the middle and lower level, fair enough. But I just feel like we shit on the players that we have at the top level so often that we like, for example, I'm not here to make fun of any former great. But let's not lie. We shit on Van Dijk so much that when we hear comparisons to Van Dijk or anybody, it's like, oh, you can't put Van Dijk ahead of him.
No. So I disagree. I see it the other way. I think Van Dijk is in the conversations with the Terrys, the Companies, the Sol Campbells, the Adams, Rio Vidic's, Palace's, Bruce's, and I'm missing names, John Terry's, Carvalho's. My issue is I think nostalgia can kill us, but I don't like disrespecting history. I had it out with Wolfie last night, who did what everybody says about Man United in their area. Man United just spent their way to the titles. I went, well, between Fergie coming in 1986 and us completing our first three-peat, treble, and the first team ever to do double-doubles, and we won as many Prems in that time, from winning our first Prem until that end of that three-peat, we had the same Prems in the same amount of years as Pep and City have got right now. I went, we're only the 10th highest spenders in the league. He said, you can't do that. Break it into smaller chunks and you'll see there were some years where you spent the most. So he got to select all the years in the chunks. Every time we did it, the highest we came in that period was 10th. Then in the next period, we broke it down. There's a period where we were second in spending for 2 years, but Chelsea has spent 3 times as much as us. And then we dropped down to like 5th, and overall it was 4th. And it's like, that's the one thing I don't like about the modern day fans talking about football, is they disrespect the past and they often lie about it. So with Van Dijk, he's in the conversation, but because he's had no one really challenging his supremacy, suddenly we're in this world where people go, he clears those guys because no one's got near him. And there was a debate about Terry and Rio. There was a debate about Sol Campbell and this guy and Ledley King. And it's yes, because there were so many of that level. So Van Dijk has benefited from being this big fish in a gigantic pond that's empty, where a lot of our centre-backs from that era, there was big fish in a big pond, but it was cramped because there was a lot of those fuckers, and it changes your mindset on these things. And for me, Van Dijk's in the conversation, but if you were seen as the best defender in the league for 2 or 3 years, 15 years ago, there's something about that achievement that's greater in some respects because you were competing against loads of defenders of a world-class level. And we don't have that in England anymore. We see it when it comes to the international level of our game. I think right now, Gahey is most certainly our best centre-back. And I think City have bought a brilliant player. I've been raving about him for years. I won't change my mind because he joined that club. But players like Gahey, Maguire was actually brilliant for us at tournaments. Maguire being in the team. John Stones may have had a chance at his pomp. I don't think these guys get into the England squad 20 years ago. I don't think they get into the England squad over Sol Campbell, Rio Ferdinand, John Terry. Like those guys there. Maybe they get in over Jamie Carragher. I think that some of those guys are better than the Jamie Carragers of this world. But the depth we had in the 90s and the early 90s, except Sol Campbell, Tony Adams, I just don't think they're on the same level.
Kane gets in?
Harry Kane, yes, of course he does.
Saka?
Kane gets in.
Saka over who?
I'm asking.
I mean, Saka. I think Saka could be within the England squad. I mean, it's a hard.
Like, he wouldn't have got in over Beckham, would he?
No.
So
I don't think he would have gotten over Beckham. Again, different positions though. He plays inside forward.
yeah, but
Beckham,
you have to compare right wing, right mid. Like, I know the different
plays
positions,
right
but no,
field.
Saka don't get in there.
Saka would be in and around every England squad I've ever seen, definitely.
All right, fair. So yeah, my main point, Terry.
You find that's okay now, is it?
No. My main point, Terry, is I think football has gotten better, but people have nostalgia for the aesthetics of football of the past. They felt like that looked better. But when I go back and watch football from the past, I didn't live some of the moments that some of these guys are talking about. Like I wasn't watching 96 World Cup, but people are telling me 96 World Cup is the best ever World Cup. And I'm like, sorry, 90, what was it? 94, not 96. What was it? 94, right?
Yeah, well, but I hear your point, but this is also why it's all about whether you trust us. And then if I trust old people. So for instance, if you trust me, if you didn't live those moments, it's very hard to have an opinion on them. Then it becomes about trusting. Then it becomes about trusting people that are telling the truth about it. As an example, because I remember having a debate with a Chelsea fan once who told me Giggs was overrated, and then I got about halfway through the debate and I'm like, hang on, how old are you? He told me his age, and it worked out. He only saw the last 5 years of Giggs' career from 35 to 40. And I was like, so you've gone back and watched all these games in the 90s? I said, no, why bother? And it made me laugh. I just went, well, I saw a guy do a combined 11 recently of United's greatest treble winning team and City's. And the City fan that did it put pretty much every single player was City. But then you find out his age. He wasn't born in 1999. So with all due respect, it doesn't even offend me. Your opinion just doesn't mean anything because you don't get to have opinions on things that you either haven't, you have to, for me, when it comes to history, you either need to be a historian and actually understand it and have gone back and watched lots of it, or you've got to have lived it. At the end of the day, if LB starts sitting here and telling me what it was like to grow up on an East London housing estate in the 80s and 90s, I'm going to go, you have no idea, unless he has done extensive research like a historian would, and like a researcher for a film would. He's got no idea. The same as I can't tell him what it's like growing up, in a working class environment in Manchester, because I just don't know. I lived there as a grown up. That's very different to living there as a kid. There are certain things where the youngsters hate hearing this, by the way, but it is the truth. And you're going to see this, Igal, in 15 years' time, when some spotty-nosed 18-year-old starts telling you that Saka was bang average and he didn't watch him. You're going to go, fuck off, you didn't watch the games. And every generation ends up becoming the old man shouting at the cloud. Because it's not until you're there you realize, well, how are you saying that Roy Keane was only a shin kicker? No, he had no tech. That means you didn't watch him. It means you did not watch him if you think he just was a skinhead who went like he was Lee Cattermole on steroids. Nah, man. But look, let's do some super chats here. Sorry. VVD has never been challenged by quality like him. Like who? You said him. If Maradona didn't do coke from Sunday night till Thursday morning, quite sure he has been the greatest player ever. Not even Messi would be close. I mean, some people still think he is in relation to doing that. But then there's an element of like horses for courses. So you boys must have heard, Tony Adams, he was drunk when he played every game. He was an alcoholic. Imagine if he was sober. Great point. Yeah. But equally, I reckon half the other team were drunk and all, because there's a lot of alcoholics playing football then. So, it's one of them ones. Football those days in the 90s and 2000s were like WWE, the Attitude Era. That's also it as well. If you actually took these younger, fitter, stronger players and put them in that era, they would be quicker. But equally, if you're going to play under the 1990s rules, these players are coming off injured after 10 minutes when they're getting kicked up in the air. City signed 2 players from mid-table clubs, made the league worse, add 2 charges to the 115 plus 2. LB is now just B because City took the L.
Win a trophy, bro.
I'm running with the agenda that this is the best league title win since Leicester. Because this is the best. If you really think about it, Arsenal win the league this year. This is the second best league title win since Leicester, because City have just gone and spent 250 million in the January window. Liverpool spent 500 million in the summer after winning the goddamn league. You have Chelsea spending money every single week. Manchester United broke their transfer record, I think, or something like that, this past window with all the signings you made for 3 players.
Explain to me how it's better than Liverpool under Slot when he's walked in, signed Chiesa and won the league in the first year after replacing Klopp.
Hey, the reason why I think it's better than that is because just look at the competition and the level of money spent this window. These
Wait a
past
sec. No,
couple of
wait a sec. Slot came in and bought Chiesa for about 10 million euros, replaced Jurgen Klopp, and won the league in his first year. How are you telling me that Arteta, who's been there for 6 years, spent £1 billion, won nothing? How is that better than Slot's win for Liverpool?
No. By the way, this is the hypothetical if we win the league. So you can't use that 1-0 in the argument that you're talking about.
Obviously, that's a whole. Yeah, but obviously, I'm saying you're going to win the league. That's a whole point of the question.
I know, but
if Arsenal win the league this year, how is that better than Slot winning it last year when he spent no money and replaced Jurgen Klopp? You've had your manager for 6 years and spent £1 million.
Because one, I've already mentioned it. Pep Guardiola is the greatest ever manager in at Manchester City and second best manager in the league's history. Just went and spent 250 million after spending another 250 million over the last calendar year. You have the team that won the league last year, who you're bigging up, who you're saying is great, went and broke their transfer record 3 times. No. On top of that, all the other money being spent by everyone else across the league. Everyone's calling Arsenal bottle jobs, making fun of us, saying that we're not that good, and we go and win the league off the back of this. Honestly, it's one of the greatest.
That's a horrific explanation. That's not a good explanation. You can't be serious. You cannot believe that if you win the league this year, after 6 years of Arteta being at the football club where he runs the show, he knows exactly what's going, the club's stable, he spent £1 billion. There's no way you can sit there with a straight face and tell me that's better than Slot replacing Jurgen Klopp, getting no players by Chiesa and winning the league in his first season. There's no chance you're telling me that.
Hey, it might not. You can say whatever you want to say. In my opinion, I'm looking at it from the money spent and the quality of the teams. There's more quality, and we were not guaranteed to win the league. Liverpool were far and wide favorites with the money that they spent and the players that they brought in.
Last year on the Slot, they were not favorites.
This season, the moment you bought Semenyo and Guehi in the January window, people are saying you're the favorites now. So even though we've been top of the league for all this time, people are constantly discrediting us, saying that we're not that good. So in that case, it's a great.
But you bring this on yourself by saying stupid stuff like it's better than Slot's achievement when it's his
I
first
never
season.
said it's better than Slot's achievement. You said that.
You just said it would be the best one since Leicester.
Yeah, because
I'm so you are saying that, I'm looking at it
from the perspective. I'm looking at it from the perspective of the money spent and the teams that are in front of me. Simple.
So you'll just pick every little narrative and go, yeah, I'll take this bit of the narrative. I won't take that bit of the narrative. I'll take this, won't take that, and boom, he's the second best one since Leicester. I completely ignore the fact that Slot walked into Liverpool, spent no money, replaced one of the best managers they've ever had, under mad pressure.
Hey,
nobody gave him a hope in hell. He had contract problems to deal with Van Dijk and Salah, and he won the league.
Okay,
why do you have to say
so
that?
LB, if I'm not getting it wrong, you're saying it might not be the second best, but it might be the third best. That's what you're saying. So we're arguing over who's the second best team in this era or third best.
I don't even think I've ever said anything like this before in my life about it's the best. You win a trophy, you win the league.
Okay, so what would you say? Arsenal win the league this year. What would you say?
I'd say about how time you won the league. It's been there 6 years. I spent £1 billion. Congratulations.
Hey, you're going to ignore the fact that you went and strengthened by spending 250 million in January. You're going to ignore the fact that Liverpool were far and wide.
You Arsenal fans just seek validation about everything.
It's not even about validation.
You cannot be happy with just winning the league, celebrating it, and going, buzzing, we finally won the league. Let's go. You have to go.
You started this conversation. You
started it by saying this will be the best league title win since Leicester. You started it.
You started this conversation by spending 250 million in January after saying it's a poor league.
I started the conversation by spending 250
You went and made your team a super team. You went and made your team a super team mid-season.
This is the problem with you, Gal. You have to seek validation on everything. You can't just be happy with winning the league. You always have to go one up on everybody else. Hey. Or it's better than your title. It's the second best title since Leicester. I've given you a very rational reason as to why it's not. I've never, ever once won a league title and said it's better than their league title, it's better than theirs. I've just won it and moved on. But you guys, you seek validation for everything, man. It's
Fair.
actually unreal, bro. Just if you win the league, which you probably will at this point, just enjoy it. Why you got to try and get one up on everybody
Hey, I'm
else?
definitely gonna enjoy it. But I pinched the nerve. Why? I don't know what I said that pinched the nerve. I'm confused.
It's not even about my club. I just think you're absolutely delusional if you think your league title is better than Slot's when he spent no money.
I just said if people are gonna run with the narrative that it's a weak league, I personally think you can make the case that Liverpool spending that kind of money, City spending this kind of money in January, two of the teams that are supposed to be competing for this goddamn league with us, from the start till now, then you can honestly make the case that Arsenal's done a great job, and this is one of the better league title wins.
Let's jump into some of these super chats here. This comment from Kenny that says, so Arsenal didn't spend money in the summer.
Yeah, we did spend money in the summer, but we were still looked at as not the best team to win the league. And when City has the best manager in the league, you have Liverpool, who on paper had the best team in the league. How is Arsenal winning the league? How is Arsenal winning the league when City have the best manager and Liverpool have the best team based on everyone's expectations coming into the season? How is that possible? How are we winning the league? How are we going to go on to win this league if City have the best manager and Arsenal did not outspend either City or Liverpool?
You're a good team. You're not this underdog team, you know. You're Arsenal Football Club.
At the end of the day, we are. At the end of the day, we are.
Okay, Wayne here said, wait, didn't Slot inherit one of the best squads in Europe?
He did.
And D also says here, Liverpool top of the league most of the season before Slot arrived. Were they? I forgot about that.
They were.
They still had a new manager from Eredivisie who didn't spend a single penny. I can't believe I'm defending Liverpool here.
This is Arteta's 6th year of management. They
call him. You guys are a little bit like Heath Ledger and Gyllenhaal, aren't you?
Well, how you can tell me that a manager who's been there, spent £1 billion, is not won anything for 6 years, finally wins.
But how is he competing against a manager who spent £2 billion?
Because we're underperforming.
But how is that possible when he's the greatest manager of all time, as you say?
We're not allowed to underperform.
Not if you're the greatest manager of all time and you just spent £2 billion.
Ferguson never underperformed.
Never.
He never spent £2 billion.
It's because of the inflation, bro. The guy lost the league in 2012 and went and bought Robin van Persie from you and started making you lot buy.
Honestly, my main argument is if people
20 million that was. That's what you're paying for Gahey. We bought Van Persie for the same money.
If people are going to run this agenda and narrative, the reality is the exact opposite applies also, but just they don't want to hear it because they underplay anything Arsenal does and they overanalyze everything negative and they underplay anything positive. The reality is Liverpool were expected to win the league. Liverpool were far favorites going into the season. City spending 250 million in January after being just a couple of weeks ago being 2 points behind us. You guys had it in your own hands to come and win this league title. But if we go on to win it,
but you're
don't act like hang on a minute.
Great. That would all be fair if Arsenal had finished like 5th, 4th, 6th in the last couple of years. You finished 2nd like 3 years in a row. You're not some dead team. You're a good team with good players.
You're only saying that now because we're top of the league.
What? You finished 2nd 3 years in a row. You got to get to semi-final of the Champions League.
You call my manager all sorts of names on a regular basis. What are you talking about?
I think your manager's a good manager. I don't like him because I don't like him as a person. Don't mean I don't think he's a good manager.
What did he do to you as a person?
I just think he's a prick. I think he's still a good manager.
For what?
I just don't like him.
Why is he a prick? This is the media.
I don't like the way he conducts himself. I think he's a prick.
The media.
Don't mean I don't think he's a good manager.
For what? What has Arteta ever done to be a prick?
I just think he is. The way he goes about in the media, the way he moans at everybody, the way he conducts himself. I just don't like him. I'm allowed to not like someone.
One second. I'm going to just shut up and listen because maybe I'm not hearing what you're saying. What exactly makes you say Arteta's a prick?
I just don't like the guy. I'm not allowed to like somebody, bro.
Why?
Because I just told you, I don't like the way he conducts himself in the media. I think he's arrogant, considering he's not won anything. I just don't like him. I still think he's a very good manager.
What has he done that's arrogant?
Are you joking? The guy fucking runs his mouth all the time, bro.
He doesn't run his mouth. He's actually one of the most. He credits every opponent that
you sit there, tell me he's a humble manager. Go on, tell me he's a humble manager.
I think you have confused. You are so confused.
Are you telling me it's humble, bro?
This is what happens when people listen to the media narrative and they don't think.
I don't listen to the media. I don't watch the media. I just see the press conferences and see what he says after the game.
You don't think for yourself because you clearly have made an opinion of Arteta and you put him in a box. You're calling him all sorts of names and you're saying he's arrogant, but you can't.
I just don't like the guy. I'm not allowed to not like somebody.
You can dislike whoever you want, but usually when you dislike somebody, you can pinpoint why you dislike somebody. For example, if I dislike an Arteta outer, I dislike them because they call me all sorts of names and they don't have a logical reason on why they think the way they think. But if you're gonna come here and say you hate Arteta and you think he's arrogant and you think he's this,
I don't hate him. I just don't like him.
But why?
I've just told you. I think he's arrogant and I don't like the bloke.
What's arrogant about what he does?
Oh, one sec. Let me just get my notepad out and just go through it. I don't have a list.
Surely, if somebody's arrogant and you dislike them, you can think off the top of your head why you dislike them. For example,
no, because I'm not a mouth who writes everything down when someone does something that I don't like.
For example, let me give you an example. If I call out Arne Slot, which I do on a regular basis this season, I think he's a crybaby because all of last season he was saying only the losers cry, only the losers explain things, and this whole season he's explaining things and over talking everybody in every single interview and sounding like a whiny bitch. But that's an example of why I think Slot is a hypocrite. But if you're sitting here, I think the way people view Arteta is actually the way they should view the guys like Arne Slot, who all season has been whining and crying.
No, I agree though. I think Arne Slot this year has become very dislikable.
But Arteta, when we lose a game, he stands up and says it's on me. When we drop points, he says credit to opponent. It was on us to win.
No, you're not saying that, bro. No, you're not saying that. You're telling me when you don't win a game, Arteta just comes out in the press and says, "Oh yeah, it was all my fault." Credit to the opposition.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10 when we drop points. 9 times out of 10 when we drop points. 9 times out of 10 when we drop points. Arteta takes accountability, unlike some of these other managers.
That is mad, bro. I can't believe you just said that.
Dead serious. And the thing I dislike about this is LB, I'm sorry, I don't blame you. I blame the media. You have fallen down the rabbit hole of the Arteta hate train. And you don't know that this is happening to you. But they are constantly drip feeding you. They're constantly drip feeding you negativity about Arteta to the point where you're saying you hate him. I see Nicky Butt.
I don't hate him. I just don't like him.
You just said you hate him.
I don't like him.
Oh, but why?
Because he's arrogant.
He's not arrogant. You can't point out one arrogant thing he's done.
I think he's a very arrogant man. That's it. I think he's a
good football manager. What has he done to say he's arrogant?
I don't have a list of notes. I'm going off the last 6 years. No, but you should be able to have
at least one example.
Nah, don't have any examples.
One example.
Nah.
Listen, my manager, Mikel Arteta, has been slandered by the media to the point where Nicky Butt is going on a podcast and saying he wants to throw a ball at his head because he's always on the touchline when every manager is on the fucking touchline.
Okay.
Terry, you're laughing. You know it's true.
I just think it's absolutely hilarious. You've just come out and said every time you don't win a game, Arteta comes out and takes full responsibility.
I am dead serious, bro. I listen to the press conferences. I rewatch them. I listen to them sometimes.
It's a disgrace.
He sits there. For example, for the game versus Forest this past weekend, he sat there, said we had 4 chances. We did not take our chances. Credit to Forest. We limited them to nothing, but they also limited us. So credit to them. It was on us to win. We didn't win. Unfortunately, we didn't win, but we did everything we should have. It's just we did not have that end product.
Good on
him. So now, from that example, that is somebody who's humble, taking accountability for the defeat and looking at them and saying, you know what, we didn't finish our chances.
You know what? Good on him. I like him 1% more now.
And also, when he was asked about the handball, he said, you know what, I think it's a handball, but these things cannot be the things that decide the game.
Good. Maybe he's improving. Maybe I'll start to like him as the time goes on.
LB, I don't think you see what is actually said. You see the negativity. You see the Anfield music at the stadium, at the training ground.
Is he a mate?
No,
Why do you care so much about why I don't like him?
No, bro. The one thing you got to realize is Pep Guardiola does some crazy shit too. Pep Guardiola literally...
Do you like Pep Guardiola?
He threw a cameraman's camera.
I'll allow it. I don't give a fuck. I don't care what you think.
He abused the cameraman. Pep Guardiola abused the cameraman, but nobody talks about it. Because you know what? It's Pep Guardiola. It's Pep Guardiola.
But I'm not going to sit here and do a 15-minute passionate defense of the bloke.
No, but you have no case on why you dislike him.
I do have a case.
You could not give me.
Why do I have to give you examples of why I don't like?
Let me tell you why I dislike Bernardo Silva. Let me tell you once again. Let me tell you why I dislike Bernardo Silva, and I think he's a rat because he didn't give Liverpool a guard of honor. He also cusses people and does the same thing that he cusses people for. For example, complaining about people wasting time when he's trying to waste time late in games when you need a win. I think there's certain individual players who I dislike at City, and he is specifically one of them. Another one I dislike, honestly, I'll be honest. I dislike the way Foden's covered because I see Foden get all this praise.
We know that.
I see Foden get all this praise for a purple patch, but when he's underperforming, no one highlights it.
Nobody
same way
speaks
that they
about
highlight.
No one ever.
Nobody spoke about him last year at all.
No.
Nobody spoke about Foden.
Right now, you just lost. Right now, you just lost one of the worst games of the season, and Phil Foden has not been mentioned once by anybody, and he got hooked at half.
Because there was 8 other fucking shit players on the pitch. That's why.
But he's one of the stars. But he's
you're
not
entitled
like
to not like somebody. I'm
no.
going to start questioning you why you don't like someone.
When he's doing well, he's treated like a star. But when he's doing poorly, he's treated like a bum.
So nobody last year was criticizing Foden.
You know what? Terry was defending him because you were one of them. You were defending him because he wasn't playing. But guess what? When he played and he was still underperforming, you were blaming it on other people.
I defended him last year, not for his bad performances. The only thing I really defended him on is when people like Mo said that one bad year has undone all of his quality that came before it. Because, and it ain't about defending Foden, the individual, it's about that becoming a precedent. Because what that means is an Arsenal player this season, a Man United player next season could be really good for 3, 4, 5 years. Have a bad year and everyone goes, everything else before it gets written off. So I don't play those games, and I'll defend even rival players when that happens, because just for what it's worth, I like having hopefully with my audience, an element of credibility when it comes to me defending my own players in the same circumstance. So Bruno Fernandes is a great example. He had a bit of a poor year last year. I saw people go, he's always been crap at this club. No, he hasn't. I'm never going to allow that narrative to be pushed without challenging it. Let's jump into some of these super chats. So we had quite a lot come through. Ladies and gentlemen, like, share, and subscribe, please. We'll try and get through these. The irony is that LB is one of the most arrogant. That's why I don't like him.
Opinion. Absolutely no problem.
He doesn't like him because Jamie and Gary said so, is what Wayne says here.
I don't watch Sky Sports, so that's not true.
As an Arsenal fan, you are doing too much, Jacquet. LB is one of the good faith rivals. Why you demand him to agree to everything you say, which is ultra pro Arsenal?
You're not listening to what I'm saying.
Do you like someone? Sorry. If you don't like someone, it's because of what they do, not what he says, in my opinion. No, it's a combination. So it's a bit of that. I can dislike someone because of what they say. Yeah, I don't like people that say Fergie was the highest spender in his era. I instantly take a dislike to those people. This is what the media does. A parrot's repeat. A parrot's repeat is what Wayne says here. Def didn't take responsibility after the PSG game.
Arteta thought we played well in the second leg. He did take accountability for the first leg.
Every manager is arrogant. Pep isn't arrogant, with a question mark. Pep's definitely arrogant, but then they all are. Yeah, I get it. Are you going to let LB cook? Sorry, how are you going to let LB cook you like that? Did Anton say you could come on today? Stop trying to validate years and billions to maybe win a trophy. That's from Boston Red.
In the league, who cares?
Maybe it's because of what he said after the PSG game is the reason he's not liked. Now you have to seek validation for Arteta as well. What you says here.
Can't be disliked for one quote. Like, what are we doing?
Igal is proving LB's point. Why would a rival need to like your manager? That's the definition of looking for validation.
I'm not saying like him. I'm saying if you dislike somebody, you should be able to pinpoint why you dislike that person.
Nah.
Top managers are pricks. Only like our club ones. Using Igal's own logic, Klopp's win is better since he spent around 750 million in 7 years, less than Arteta has spent in 6.
Klopp's Champions League win, Klopp's league title wins for Liverpool were historic, and everyone gave them the credit that they deserve. I don't think anyone discredited them like they're trying to do with Arsenal.
Igal, please don't, ma'am. You are hurting your credibility. Let's just win before we start bullshit in the world.
I'm not saying
I agree with I don't know about better than Leicester's, but I think it's a flex over City. Like, I'd use it as a flex. Me and City again head to head for a league title, I can only imagine. And in the calendar year they dropped nearly 600 million chasing it, and we beat them to it. I'd definitely give them some shit over it. Same as City fans would do back to us. But there we go. If Arsenal win the league, I would not care if people label us as the weakest champions of all time. I'll be celebrating every day.
Same.
What? Same? You've been rattled the whole show, bro. What are you talking about? Same.
This here from earlier actually says City used to get goals from KDB, Mahrez, Sterling, Gundogan. Each would get you 10 to 15 Premier League goals plus Aguero's 20. That's 60 plus goals to try and make up. Haaland is the only one carrying his weight. That's a great point. Great point. Agree with LB. If you are top of the table at the end of the season, you win the league. No asterisks beside it.
I thought I said that.
I think both of you have said it.
I said that as well. I said you were a good team, and if you win the league, who cares?
Igal said the league was weak last year. Did you?
I was hating on Liverpool. I'll be honest.
Okay. I remember now. It was LB. That was a tough guy. It was LB that said it against Smash us last week. It was LB that said it. Yeah. If Arsenal win, they will be the best end of debate.
Agreed. Facts.
Rio and Vidic 70 clean sheets in 100, and that's what the number was. Yeah, fucking wicked, man. They were elite, man. Fabrizio Romano has posted, here we go, Waneri to Marseille. We're going to come back to that in just a minute. We'll come back to that super chat. Cup and Champions League ties are more entertaining matches to watch now. League seasons always a grind and one on consistency. Not every fixture can be prime football.
I actually agree with Rob on this.
Great comment.
I think that's facts. Champions League now, I think, is better than it's ever been in terms of the games, because I actually used to really enjoy the away goal rule. Right, I thought it was mega, and I thought it made it really interesting. But now the away goal rule's been gone. Teams just full send it in the knockout rounds now.
Do you know what though? Do you know something went through my head last week around football? And I like the Premier League still, but I was sitting there going, the Champions League has shown me that the Super League would have been out of this world. I think the Super League would have.
The Super League would have been an amazing tournament. The problem was the way it was structured just wasn't right, and it wasn't.
There has to be jeopardy. You have to be able to get into it and fall out of it, you know. And
correct.
You know, if they would, I guarantee, if they'd have said like the lowest finishing team from each nation, so you could come sixth, but you could be the lowest of your nations. If you all got relegated and the winners of your national league got promoted into it, I think a lot of people would have signed up, and the money would have filtered down. They could have got, if they'd have got it right. They basically, it's because the UEFA Champions League have copied their model by and large.
Well, part of what I think is, did they use that whole Super League to force through these changes for UEFA? Because then everybody went, oh, this isn't as bad. We'll take this. Whereas if they wouldn't have done the Super League and have brought this in, would people still?
Nah, bro. You're thinking. Oops.
I think European competition now is actually mega, and I think
I love it.
Footballers as well.
I love it. I love it. And you see it in the Arsenal games, the amount of teams that open up and actually attack Arsenal in Europe compared to England, and it makes so suddenly Arsenal like a different team. City again. I agree. I absolutely agree. Igal, don't let them gaslight you. You're allowed to challenge nonsense narratives. They want to talk shit unchallenged and hide behind. Why are you seeking validation? No, your opinion is based on bullshit. Is what Cleo Girl says here.
The thing is, though, Cleo Girl, I've actually sat here and said, if Arsenal win the league, they're the best team and they shouldn't care about what anybody says. What I did was pull up Igal on his stupid comment about it would be the best league title win since Leicester, when Slot won it with Liverpool, signing one player in Chiesa and had contract problems to deal with at the same time. That's all I said. Just because you want it to be the best ever.
You know, you always do this, LB. You change the topic. The discussion was about you talking about Arteta. That was what that super chat was about. And that right there was a nonsense narrative. And I don't think you actually dislike Arteta, because I know right now, if Pep leaves tomorrow and you're offered Arteta, you would bite your hand off.
I don't like the bloke, bro.
For what?
I just don't like him. I'm sorry.
He's not going to give you. He just doesn't like him.
If you want me to start writing notes every time he does something that I don't like, we'll meet again in a year and I'll tell you all the stuff.
No, but Terry, if you dislike a player or manager, don't you usually have a reason?
I've given you the reason, but you want specific dates, times, and sentences of exactly what he said. And I'm sorry, I don't take notes when people fucking piss me off.
I disagree with LB's view of Arteta. I don't think he is an arrogant prick. However, he has given the reasons. It's the way he doesn't think he takes accountability, the way he behaves on the touchline, the way he speaks, the way he comes across. You don't like it. And
that's blown out of proportion by the media. Every manager is on the touchline.
I hear that.
I didn't actually say that on the touchline. I never mentioned that once.
Yeah,
By the way, I did say
that.
the bloke's a good manager. I said he's a good manager. I think he's a good manager. I just don't like the guy.
Man is crying because LB said he didn't like someone. Other normal and sane people wouldn't care who someone hates.
Hey.
Calm down, Igal. Arteta is not gonna make love to you. Jesus, here we go. Top managers are pricks. Only like the ones at our club. Sorry, done that one. What a clown. How is Slot have the best squad? When I remember Igal clearly said Arsenal squad was better than the Liverpool squad.
Okay, to answer this, I was simply saying that you have a squad that can compete for the league. I never said you have the best squad. I said you have the best squad after you signed Isaac, Ekitike, Florian Wirtz, going into the summer, coming out of the summer transfer window, going into the league this season. Everyone unanimously said Liverpool have the best squad on paper. Simple. Am I wrong? Do you guys remember this summer of 2025? Everyone was saying Liverpool.
Yeah, this summer, most people said it was a foregone conclusion before his ball was kicked that Liverpool win the league. That is facts. Most people were saying that. Most. Or quite a few at least. It's not like Arsenal didn't spend 300 million last season. City and Arsenal were the favourites and Liverpool won. This season, if Liverpool didn't win, it had to be Arsenal. No surprises. Shut it, Igal, is what's been said here.
Okay, so then don't cry when we win the league and I'm celebrating.
Igal, you do so well and then you just rage bait things. If we win the league, why do you need someone to say it was top 3, etc.? Who actually cares?
I think you're missing the point. The point was that they're saying it's a weak league. I'm making the case that with City investing the money that they've done and Liverpool investing the money that they've done, you could make the case for the opposite.
We'll do this next week, but do a starting 11 of the 2010s. Exclude. Why have we got to exclude the best 2 players from that era, though? Okay, let's do. We have to exclude the best 2 for this era, though. You can't have Mbappe or Haaland in it. And we'll do it next week. We'll each do it. I'll try and remember. Someone remind me. KJ, if you're watching, remind me. And we'll do our best from the 2010s. So they've got to have been an active player between 2010 and 20. It's got to be a 10-year period. So we'll go from 2016 back 10 years and 2016 to we'll do that. Anyway, football has got more athletic, but not more skillful. If you watch Matt Letizia, Gaza, I think it means Gaza, it means gas, and Zola, you will know the skill levels back then were mad. Yeah, they were wicked, man.
Yeah, but that's down to how they're trained.
Partly, yeah. Have you ever heard the saying generalization are for all general-minded? No.
He's taking shots at you, LB.
Oh, is it? I don't know. He's taking shots out. I don't know. Sitting in my Arsenal shirt, cringing. I beg you, chill. LB, you might not watch the media, but you see it on your timeline.
Yeah, and that's why I don't like him.
They say,
guys, I want to talk a little bit about the transfer stories from today. The first one, I want to get LB.
I've got to go, man, because it's early kickoff, innit? So I've got.
You got to shoot. All right, mate. No worries, mate. You shoot. We'll carry on, mate. Top man. Speak to you soon, bro. Top man. Thanks, mate. Thank you. Igal, I want to ask you first and foremost. Fabrizio has done the Here We Go. Waneri is joining Marseille for the rest of the season. Thoughts on that?
First thing, he hasn't gotten enough minutes this season, and we needed to get him more game time for his own development. And if with all our players pretty much back fit, there's so many players that can play in that position. With Eze, Odegaard, Moreno can play there, even Havertz if need be. So I do just think that they're saying to themselves, you know what, give him an opportunity to go on loan, get more minutes maybe at Marseille than he would at Arsenal for the rest of the season. And it will continue to grow his development. And hopefully he can come back a better player like Saliba did coming back from Marseille. But I also hear the point where people are like, in case of an injury or in case of anything, keep him and play him. People are saying he's better than Odegaard I think that's nonsense. He's 18 years old. He's a good player. He can grow into being something a lot better in the future. But at this moment in time, with us competing on all 4 fronts still, I do think what we have to our disposal is good enough, and we should continue to work with what we have to our disposal.
Yeah, I agree it's the right move. I think that although there'll be some Arsenal fans that want to see him get more game time, it's difficult because you do have Eze, you do have Odegaard in those positions, Saka and Noni, but he needs game time. And I think Marseille is a great place for him to go. The way they play football, the way De Zerbi moves the ball, it's going to be great for his development. It's going to put him in the shop window. The quality, the speed, the power in France is very good. It's very competitive in that way. And they're in the Champions League. So he's going to hopefully get that Champions League experience along the way as well, because he's still a fantastic talent. Just needs to I remember Jack Wilshere having to go out on loan and get similar experience in that way. The other transfer I wanted to get your view on is Chelsea looking to go out and buy Jacquet, the young 20-year-old centre-back, £60 million. Do you think this is a good bit of investment from Chelsea?
I kind of feel like they're desperate. They're just going for another young investment, spending a little bit over the odds. Wouldn't they be better off just waiting until the summer and getting somebody more experienced? If Van de Ven's going to be available, if they can go and get Senesi, why not do that in the summer? If you can get Senesi on a free or get Van de Ven for a similar amount of money or just a little bit more. I know they need defenders, but are you that desperate where you need to go and sign a youngster for 60 million right now in the January window? There's no guarantee he's going to come in and be better than what you currently have. I know he's a quality player. I've seen Arsenal be linked to him, but we're looking at him as a backup. I don't know if he's ready to walk in right away and be your starter week in, week out.
Yeah, we spoke about it yesterday. I find it an interesting deal.
The money doesn't make sense. 60 million.
Yeah. I mean, look. There's a lot of hype and a lot of reports that this young man could go on to be one of the best centre backs in the world in the next 2 to 3 to 4 years. So you're always going to pay a premium for players like that. The issue at Chelsea is they have quite a lot of young defenders that are also in that bracket, and what remains to be seen is Chelsea having the ability to develop them all to that level at the same time without top class experience to help guide them in the team as well. And I think you look at what City have done. Gahey, yes, it's 300k a week, but it's relative because they're paying a much lower transfer fee. The cost of these two deals is going to be similar over the next 5 to 6 years. It's going to cost the clubs about the same amount of money. I've been talking about this for 5-6 years. We've got to stop using net spend as a barometer, and you have to look at the total cost of a player to really see whether you're getting value from that deal or not, especially in terms of what they're delivering. And I just look at it, and maybe Gahey would have said no to Chelsea, but there are other, and maybe that's why they didn't go for somebody like him. But I think they should be looking to break the bank for a Gahey, a Bastoni. Maybe I've seen some links today, like Mickey Van de Ven. Yeah, I think they need people that are just a little bit older, a little bit more experienced, a little bit more quality. I'm not diminishing the talent this young man has, but I just look at it and think, is it actually going to work? Is it a good way of Chelsea fans having their money? So I know a lot of Chelsea fans say it's not my money, I don't care. I just think that's a ridiculous notion. It is your money. It's your club's money. You should absolutely care how it's being spent. There's a comment here from DJ, long-standing, one of our first ever Chelsea fans on the terrace. Says the deal for Jacquet unlikely to happen. We have brought Disasi back from the cold. Yeah, I just see that now. Actually, they just come out Disasi returning to the first team. I mean, that's just it. There is players out there you could maybe get. You've got, the thing is, my club Man United doesn't have the money. We're brassic, so we've got to be really thrifty. Wrong that we're in that position, but it's where we are. But Disasi coming back in, I mean, he is a disaster. At the end of the day, Disasi is a disaster. Bringing him back in, I just don't see it helping you. I just do not see it helping Chelsea at all. And I feel sorry for Chelsea fans.
I have no sympathy for them. No offense. The Chelsea have really dominated for the last 20 years. They're just going through what other people have gone through. They've had a great owner. Now they have an owner that doesn't seem to know what they're doing to the same level. And Terry, to me, Chelsea just don't seem to be interested in going and getting win now players. They constantly seem to be getting project players. And how long can you continuously get project players before the project turns into another project and you need to refresh everybody?
Yeah, no, listen, I don't disagree. I thought by now Chelsea would have moved into a space of buying that experience. And, Arteta started off by predominantly getting young players in and promoting young players. But then the Declan Rices and the like have been purchased and bought, and look where you are now. So yeah, I do listen. I get what you mean. I'm not unhappy that Chelsea aren't winning anymore. I'm a rival of theirs, but I do feel for the fans, because as much as we can all banter each other and be arrogant, fans deserve their clubs to be run to the best possible ability. And I feel that we have a lot of bad owners in the league, or owners that don't have winning trophies at the forefront of their mind. And I feel that, I know it's hard to control, but as a general rule, we need to be as sure as possible when letting people buy our clubs that their main aim is to turn that club into the best possible version of itself, not we're going to make it the most valuable version of itself so we can sell it for a profit in the future because our shareholders want that. That, for me, means you can end up in a situation where you're a good team, you're a very good team, you even win some trophies, but you're always, and I can't get this phrase out of my mind that a Chelsea fan said 3 or 4 weeks ago, we are always 1 year away from being 1 year away. And I feel there's something in that for me that they need to look at. This year says Chelsea are moving like prime DiCaprio. Apparently Chelsea are in for Julian Alvarez. Well, this is another story I've read today that Ben Jacobs has just confirmed here that several top European clubs are keeping an eye on the situation with Julian Alvarez, and Chelsea have been linked to them. But this is the problem, right? I don't see... I assume you'd like Julian Alvarez at Arsenal, right?
Terry, I don't think Julian Alvarez is all that everyone makes him out to be. I think he's a good player. I think he's a good player, but I do think you whatever player you buy, from what I've seen from Victor Gyökeres this season, the system has to suit that said player. And over at Atletico Madrid, the system doesn't suit him clearly. And if he was to come to Arsenal, I don't think the system would necessarily be the best for him either, because he's not the clinical finisher. He's a great striker. He can play. He can do all the false nine stuff. But right now, the best place for him would be what do you call it? Someone like Barcelona. That would be the best fit for him. Someone that makes abundance of chances, has 2 wingers who can take the pressure off him from being a finisher and does everything. I think that's the best fit for him.
Again, so I understand that. I mean, I rate the player. I'd love him at United. You know, he scores goals. You know, I think he's got 40 goals in his first 80 games at Atletico. I think he's a really good player in there. And I get by this comment that Chelsea are interested. The problem that you have is that he's currently earning £260,000 a week playing for a team with Atletico's money, which is good money. He is not going to go for Chelsea for less than that. And that's currently about 100 to 90 to 100,000 below their wage capacity. And he's also 25. Well, he turns 26 at the end of this month. So he goes over their age category bracket. So as much as I think Chelsea fans will go, wow, that'd be great. And if Chelsea signed him today, I'd say, what a signing. I'd praise Clearlake for doing it. He improves Chelsea. He makes them a more dangerous team. He'll help win them more games. I think he's really, really good. The problem is that PSG have been linked to him. They'll pay him more money. Arsenal have been linked to him. You'll pay him more money than they will. And listen, I wouldn't even be surprised to see City come back in and go, how about we take the lad back? Maybe we can work on something here. But from my point of view and perspective, I just don't see a world where Chelsea pay him the 250 to 300k a week plus bonuses that he wants and the transfer fee, which is going to be, 80-90 million? You're going to have to pay a lot of money for him. Well, actually, when does his contract run out, actually? Let's go and have a look at that, because that might change it.
He's only been there for 2 seasons, so 2 more seasons.
He's got to have 2 to 3 more years left. So he's costing you 80-90 million pounds plus 250, 300k a week, plus he's 26. Can I see a world right now where Chelsea, 4 years people are saying he's got left, where Chelsea invest that money in him? No.
I don't think he's...
Because they've said they're not doing that kind of business. So it'd be brilliant for Chelsea. He makes them better. I think the player's great, but I can't see Chelsea doing that for love nor money.
Terry, I don't think he can be a star that carries a team. I think he's a good, like, Robin. He's not a Batman. He can't be.
But has he not been carrying Atletico, though?
To where? He was scoring goals for them, but he scored 17 goals in the league for them. That's great return. But overall, where are they going to go with that?
Yeah, but the problem is with that analysis for me is that it's Atletico Madrid. So when it comes to Spain, right, I want to break this down for people. The money difference between the top 2 in Spain and everybody else is crazy, right? I want to show this to you now, right? So Real Madrid are the biggest earners in the world. They're bringing in over £1 billion a year is what their income looks like. Barcelona currently 6th in the world. they're bringing in every year between 700 to 800 million pound. Now, Atletico Madrid are in the top 12, okay? But their income per year is between 300 to 400. So the point is this: the wage bill at Barcelona and definitely the wage bill at Real Madrid is more than Atletico have as an income. So they can never do what those sides do. Well, if you actually look at this spending of Atletico Madrid, it's kind of like every 2 to 4 years, they'll have a big summer where they spend money. They pay very good salary to their players, but what they can't keep doing is spending. So I think he's done a fantastic job scoring the goals, making them competitive, keeping them where they are in the sort of the Spanish league and doing well in Europe. But Atletico Madrid, because of the way 80% of all the money in Spain goes to 2 clubs, it's so hard for them to win the league, and it's so hard to maintain it, because as soon as they do get a player or two that are killing it, Real Madrid rarely take their players because of the rivalry, but Barca can take their players, PSG can take their players, the top English clubs can. I think you put a player like Alvarez into a top English side who have got the money to keep building, he could definitely carry a team. For me in the Premier League, he could very, very conceivably score between 15 and 25 league goals every single season. I mean, he was getting 9s and 11 league goals for City, predominantly coming on from the bench. So I think he'd be an excellent signing. I think he really, really would.
Is he better than Jesus? Yes. Is he better than Havertz? Yes. I would take him. Yes. But do I think he is what everyone's making him out to be? Like, I'm seeing people saying, Terry, sell all of our strikers, give him everything he needs. It's like, he's not that guy. He's still getting outscored by Alexander Solov in his team last year, for example, who scored 3 more goals than him in the league.
But Solov's a good striker.
Yeah, but you don't see everyone breaking the door down to go get him, Terry. That's my point.
No, I understand that there are certain players that get a bit more hype than others, right? There are definitely players in football that get a little bit more hype. Although I've seen Alexander, every time I've watched Alexander Solov play, we see him miss like mad chances. But the reason you're also not getting the clamour for him is because he's 30. Is because he's 30 years old. That's the issue with him, because people don't want to buy all the players. Mikel is not letting you. Okay, all right, there we go. We're not.
Yeah, you're talking shit. I love these guys.
The other transfer I wanted to get your opinion on is there are talks that Man United have been offered the chance to sign Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Good or bad business for Man United?
That's good. That's good for you guys, because you get more legs in your midfield. Somebody who can do the box-to-box role, score goals, help out defensively, and it will bring more physicality to your midfield. A team that needs more midfield help, because the less you can play Ugarte, the better for you guys, because I think he's a net negative for the way that you're going to be playing going forward. And you're not playing as many games, so you need to have some rotation in the case that anyone gets fatigued. And with one more midfielder that can do that, it's quality depth. I think you can definitely get top 4, top 5 with that. And you have been asking for more midfield quality. This now will allow you not to have to play Casemiro every single game, not to have to play Kobe Mainoo every single game. You can rotate in the midfield.
Yeah, I worry about it a little bit because he gets a lot of injuries. You know, he's only had 1 this season, to be fair, but 1, 2, 5 last season, 2 the year before that, 4 the year before that, 5 the year before that. And sometimes they're small, they're like 2 or 3 days misses the game, sometimes a little bit longer. Touching wood so far, nothing ever longer than 17 games missed, but that was last season, he missed 17 games. So I do worry about him coming back to the Prem, faster and stronger league than Italy, and getting those injuries again. Equally, it all depends on the deal. Again, we've been linked to Ndidi as well, and again, I'm not overjoyed by that neither. But that would be a deal that only cost us about £1 million to £1.5 million between now and the end of the season. I don't want to waste. We have limited budget, rightly or wrongly. We have a limited budget. I don't want to get into that side of the debate. I don't want to waste too much money on substandard players. Ruben Loftus-Cheek is what I put him into the average category. Great physicality when he's running and everything else, good strength, but he's in that average category of the elite end players. So yes, the one thing he does better than Ugarte and these guys, he has better legs, but overall, I just don't want us to get dragged into a deal that's going to end up wasting millions and millions of pounds.
Hypothetically speaking, Terry, you're getting ahead of a problem. How many midfielder options do you have that can play in that double pivot?
Right now, 1, 2, 3, 4. We have like four to stroke 5 players that can do it. What we also got to remember:
win a game tomorrow to qualify for top 4. How many of those can you trust?
2 in a double pivot to not let us down.
So you're basically one injury away from being screwed.
No, I understand that, but equally, I don't think but this is my point. I look at Loftus-Cheek, and if you ask me who do I trust, Loftus-Cheek and Ndidi and Conor Gallagher, these guys we've been linked to, I don't trust any of them either. They're just a little bit more mobile. But my point is, I'm only giving a personal opinion. Some people might really rate these players and go, no, that's really good. That's fair. My view is I don't want to waste a penny on a player that I don't think any better than what we've already got. I'd rather give one of the Fletchers a chance. I'd rather give an academy player a chance. Because my view is if I think someone's bang average, I'd rather waste no extra money on someone bang average. I'd rather give an academy player an opportunity to maybe prove themselves at this level than I would wasting, let's just say AC Milan say, right, you've got a cover his salary, so that's 3 million quid, and we want a fee of 4 million quid. Go, right, 7 million pounds. That's 7 million pounds for a player that I don't think makes us any better. Therefore, it's 7 million pounds. We might as well give that money to our staff because there's a bonus for you all. I just don't see. I don't want to waste money. It's my big fear.
Hey, Ferris, I get it. I gotta go. Wifey's
no, so listen, I want to thank everyone who's tuned into the show today. This is going to redirect you to Judge Mo's channel. So go and support my brother over there. We're live tonight after the Champions League games. Can't wait. Good luck to all the English sides tonight that are playing. But until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you soon. Peace.